The inside of the bar is a far cry from the abandoned exterior. It's not even midday, yet most of the tables and booth are occupied by a loose assembly of people in matching green cloaks. There's a lot you can tell about a city by its dives. This one seems ordinary enough, even if the uniforms are unusual. A cursory glance doesn't turn up anyone with a dagger-shaped earring. I'm about to head towards the counter when a chant rises from the center of the room. Show, show, show. The remaining green cloaks abandon the bar and their booths to rush towards the center of the room in a sudden torrent. There's no time to move out of the way. I'm caught, swept along in the ale-stenched current. Hey! Rhythmic chanting drowns out my voice. I thrash, throwing out my elbows, as the press of bodies grows heavier. My hip knocks into a table. I grip it, holding on tight to steady myself, but the crowd has stilled, the chanting stopped. A pair of gilded boots stride across the tabletop. Seriously, you dogs, again? Scattered laughter and cheers rise from the audience. I drag my eyes upwards. A well-dressed man stands on the table in front of me, his broad shoulders framed by the thick lapels of a trench coat. This really is the last time, alright? This time when he speaks, the audience falls silent, as though bewitched by his magnetic presence or rich, low voice. I'm sorry, I don't have a rich, low voice. But nothing is as captivating as his smile. He beams at the crowd around him, a performer on his makeshift stage. Don't blink, or you'll miss it. He laughs, and the dagger-shaped earring dangling from his left ear catches the light in a flash of gold. It would seem I found Leander. I have an earring like that. It's like a cross and a circle. And it's not golden, it's black. He raises his hand above the audience and snaps. A flash of pale green light. Real magic. No ordinary stage trick blinds me. Ooh, pretty. As the brilliance ebbs, my gaze refocuses on the mage towering above me. He flicks his wrist and the magic spiraling around him coalesces. A delicate flower stem sprouts from between his pinched fingers. One by one, glowing lily petals spring forth. With a flourish, the mage presents the conjured flowers. The audience bursts into clapping and cheers. A genuine magic show was the last thing I expected from a place called the Wet Wig. Leander plucks the iridescent bouquet out of the air and turns in a slow circle, giving his audience a good look. Now who could use some good luck? Eager onlookers scoot closer to the table. Some reach for the lilies, while others whistle and call Leander's name. But his cool green eyes slide right over them, locking on me instead. How about you? My chest tightens. Every person gathered turns to stare at me. Oh, I'm taking them. Both men? Well, Kuras not so much, but just because I like the stoic type when it comes in the form of a bodyguard or something like that, or a knight, because they have like this duty and they have to be stoic and they can't be anything else. And I love the switch from stoic to slowly being like broken down by the MC into something more real. Why did I say this? Oh, because I was talking about Kuras, but he's also, Leander is also not my type, but they're both of their sprites, their appearance is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I guess I don't know enough about Leander yet, but he seems to be the playful thief type I was talking about. Then again, I'm hoping for less cliche in this, since it's about, like, all the characters are clearly dark in some way. So anyway, we're taking the flowers. I reach out, all too aware of the way my fingers tremble as I carefully take the flowers from him. There's no weight to them, only a faint warmth that radiates from the stems. As soon as the flowers leave Leander's hand, their light dims. They fade away in a shower of opalescent light. To my surprise, Leander laughs under his breath. That's the problem with flowers. They don't last long, but they leave an impression, right? He grins at me and I find myself smiling back. Gorgeous CG, by the way. Oh god, his sprite is nice. Leander steps off the table, dropping among the excited crowd with an audible clink. I like that he looks tired, you know what I mean? Like, he has bags under his eyes. Does everyone have that? Is that just an artist thing? Or is everybody tired? Because same. Alright, bloodhounds. Get back to your drinks. Show's over. The green cloaks disperse at his command, returning to their tables and booths. Before I can make my way towards Leander, his eyes find me. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. I manage to squeeze beside him, but there's so little room that his broad shoulders presses against mine. I tense, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. Is this your first time in Iridia? He says it lightly, with a genuine air of curiosity. Do I stick out that much? No, but I'm certain I'd remember seeing a face as lovely as yours around Lowtown. Two types I don't like. But there are maybe exceptions. The playboy type, and the exception is Icky from Amnesia. And the mean type, I don't know if I found an exception for that yet. The mean type is in, I don't remember his name, but he's the one that likes donuts from Color X Malice. Don't like him. Sorry. He's mean. He's mean. I don't like him. And he doesn't totally get unmean. I don't remember his name, but I think it begins with a T. Could be wrong. Okay. So he seems the flirtatious, playful playboy type. Not my type. So we'll see. Again, there are easily ways that it can be done where I like it. Okay, I'm not actually going to go into the spoilers for other games, that's dumb. Okay, my eyes flicker to the polished countertop. I'm not used to flattery, and being this close makes eye contact difficult. As if on cue, the bartender approaches us. What can I get you? Surprised me and add anything my friend wants to my tab. I wasn't expecting the generosity, but I have to admit I do feel a little thirsty after all that fried dough. I'll have what he's having. While the bartender leaves to fix our drinks, Leander leans his elbows on the counter. I'm close enough to notice the purple shadows under his lower lids. His eyes wander over me in return, but when they lock on my bandaged hands, a sour taste rises in my throat. Here comes the questions. So, what brings you to the Wick? Kuras sent me. He pushes his hair back from his forehead, but it immediately falls right back into place. So, it's about work. The bartender returns with a pair of glasses filled with what I can only assume is beer. I raise my glass and give it an experimental sniff. It smells faintly yeasty, but with an undercurrent I can't quite place. A quick sip confirms my worst suspicions. It's awful, somehow briny and sour in a way that reminds me of pickles. But any sort of complaining dies the moment I look up and see Leander taking a deep swig from the glass. He lets out a satisfied breath. How can I be of assistance? I need to get to the cenobium. As soon as the word cenobium leaves my mouth, the entire bar falls silent. Bloodhounds twist around in their seats to gawk openly. Finally, an especially drunk one speaks up. The hell are you bringing up the cenobium in here? Throw him out, this is bloodhound territory. The vitriol catches me off guard. From the angry looks thrown my way, it's clear I've broken some unspoken rule just by mentioning the cenobium. When I glance at Leander, he's drinking, as though he hasn't noticed the uproar. Only when he catches me looking does he lower his glass. For love of... Yeah, he drags a hand down his face. Hey, keep it down, will you? This is business. I tense, expecting an argument, but the outspoken bloodhounds silently return to their drinks. Only a handful continue to watch me warily. Sorry about them. The cenobium's a bit of a touchy subject in these parts. Mix in enough drinks and, well, you saw. How about we continue this outside? When I give him a terse nod, he pushes away from the bar counter. I follow Leander to an alleyway tucked behind the wet wick where layers of frayed bloodhounds' posters have been plastered to the walls. Seeing them side by side, the resemblance between Leander and his likeness on the posters is impressive. Kuras didn't send you here for help with the cenobium, did he? From the look he gives me, he already knows the answer. I glance away. No, he didn't. He suggested I find an alternative. Yet here you are, asking about them anyway. What do you need the cenobium for? I don't want to tell him about my curse. The less people know about my capabilities, the better. Thankfully, Leander takes my reluctant silence as an answer. Well, I see you're already aware of the city's currency. Information's worth its weight in gold here. Kudas told you the truth. The Cenobium's dangerous. Get on their bad side and they'll imprison you if you're lucky, or torture you if you're not. But the Cenobium's supposed to be a place of learning, a sanctuary. The Cenobium has always been heralded as the last bastion of human knowledge, a shining beacon of hope in a world steeped in nightmares. If any place held answers, it would be the Cenobium. That's why I came here. That's what they want you to think, but things that seem too good to be true are often just that. Such a simple statement, and yet it leaves me reeling. If it's true, if I staked everything on a lie, then what now? Leander clears his throat. But as I always say, there's solutions to every problem and alternatives to every solution. He claps his hands and turns to me with a brilliant smile. That's why Kudas pointed you to the Bloodhounds. Let us help you, whether it's hunting soulless, finding people, or recovering stolen valuables. We can do it all, and free of charge. I'm shaking my head before he's even finished his practice speech. My patience is wearing dangerously thin. Listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved by a group of good Samaritans. To my chagrin, Leander nods slowly. Then your problem must be fairly serious, and if the Cenobium's your first choice, you're searching for a magical solution, aren't you? When my eyes widen, he nods along as though he suspected all along. I'll be happy to help you out, that is, if you'll tell me what ails you. Leander might not work for the Cenobium, but he is a mage, and a powerful one at that if his demonstration earlier is any indication. I'm silent, plagued by indecision. I don't know if I can trust him, but it's not like I have any alternatives. I hate to admit it, but this could be my only path forward. My confession comes out in a pained whisper. I'm cursed. Cursed? Oh, now I'm very curious. What kind of curse? Something ancestral or more recent? He looks me up and down, taking in my face, my eyes, and finally my hands. It's your hands, isn't it? I wait until I'm certain my voice will remain steady before answering. My touch is dangerous. It changes people, hurts them. Before I've even finished, Leander begins taking his glove off. He tugs his right hand free and flexes his fingers. Let's see it. He offers me his hand, and a prismatic flash of magic ripples across his palm, but I'm already shrinking backwards. I can't. I don't care how confident Leander is, I can't bring myself to hurt him, to see his kind face twist into a mask of madness. Believe me, this isn't an ordinary curse. I'll be fine. Perhaps where you came from, your affliction was strange and one of a kind. But spend a year in this city, you'll see 1,000 curses and thrice as many cures. Do you really think Kudas would send you here if I couldn't handle it? How should I know? I only met him today. I'm as good as any mage in the Cenobium, better even. If they can help, so can I. You don't know what you're asking me. I'm asking you to trust me. I look from Leander's outstretched hand to his confident smile. Then, with a short breath, I begin unwinding the bandages from my hand. Fine, but if you lose control, don't say I didn't warn you. Okay. You could tie me up first if it makes you feel better. With each joint I expose, I grow more and more certain that this is a terrible idea. Ready when you are. If he's bothered by the way my hand looks, he doesn't show it. My fingers hover shakily over his palm. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna touch him. I want to see what happens. I'm super fucking curious. I tap his palm once, as quickly as possible. It's barely more than a brush, but that's all it ever takes. When I look at his face, expecting to see the worst, Leander only grins. Oh, is this an we're all mad here situation? So it doesn't work? Or is it because he's magic? See? It can't be. This time when I reach out to touch Leander's palm again, he catches my wrist before I can pull away. I told you, there's really nothing to worry about. He trails off when my thumb brushes the soft skin of his inner wrist. I search Leander's face for traces of madness, but his eyes remain a clear, soft green. Color rises in his cheeks, but he remains still except for the subtle bobbing of his throat. Neither of us speak as I trace the contours of Leander's palm, lost in an awareness I wasn't prepared for. I've been with other people, kissed them, been embraced by them, and more, but not like this. My fingers, long deprived by years of bandaging, pick up every single detail. The grooves of his palm, the smooth shell of his nails, the pulse of his heart. For as long as I've lived, I've never been able to hold someone's hand, not without dire consequences. I've never realized what I was missing until this moment. While Leander's pulse is steady, mine is hammering as fear gives way to excitement. My hand glides over Leander's wrist and up his forearm, where smooth skin abruptly gives way to the raised scar by the edge of his sleeve. It matches the one that runs from his collar to cheekbone. Could it be the same wound? I glance at Leander's face and his lips part as he considers his words before speaking. Am I the first person you've been able to touch like this? My hand goes still on his arm. So far. I'll admit your touch does make it somewhat difficult to stay level-headed, but not due to your powers. He takes my hand. His soft green eyes flick to mine before he turns it to inspect the gold fissures crisscrossing my knuckles. Look, we match. He points at a golden pin on his coat collar and I give him a small smile. I draw my hand back and take a steadying breath. My head feels as though it's stuffed with cotton. Habit alone guides me through the motions of rewrapping my hand, although my fingers tremble too much for the bandages to lie flat. I can't believe that worked. May I ask your name? I'm Valkii. You were right to hide this from me, Valkii. That curse of yours is unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I can tell you're discreet, but you'd best not go showing that off to anyone else. I didn't plan on it. Are you staying in Lowtown? I pause. Room and board was something I hadn't yet considered. I don't know. Let's get you properly settled then. See, I like him. The Wet Wick is noticeably quieter. Without their leader, most of the bloodhounds have dispersed, or in a few cases, fallen asleep beside their drinks. Got any rooms left, or did my lot grab them all to sleep it off? The bartender, who I now realize doubles as an innkeeper, slides a key onto the counter. You know I always keep the corner room open for your escapades. Oh no, I don't totally like him again. Leander's laugh sounds slightly strained. And I always appreciate it, but you're mistaken. This is just for my friend, Valkii. Sure, stay as long as you like. You two have fun. Escapades, huh? Leander clears his throat, then holds the key out to me. But I hesitate. My coin purse barely holds enough for a day's worth of meals, let alone a room. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Bloodhound rates. My treat, since you shared your secret. Food, drink, a warm bed, anything you need. Carefully, I take the key from him. It's small but weighs heavy in my palm. I never expected to have a warm bed in Iridia, let alone free meals. I planned to steal whatever I needed to get by, no matter how dangerous. Thank you. Go explore, Valkii. You'll find many roads in Iridia, each leading to different answers, but if you need a reprieve from what haunts you, come find me. Just be careful. I nod, taking one last look at the gleaming bronze key before tucking it into the pocket of my coat for safekeeping. Leander gives me one last friendly wave before I depart. I think this is going to be more than an hour-long demo. I think God, I get emails from it all the time, and yet my memory is crap. The demo I did before for the Kickstarter that I backed first. It was like the first Kickstarter. You know what? Fuck it. Let's get my Kickstarter. Let's get my Kickstarter up. Okay, so it's TOUCHSTARVED. Oh, Peachleaf Valley. That's the one. I'd like to go to my profile, please. So Peachleaf Valley got Project We Love. And Salvus Ares is the other one, which is a 17-girl ex-boy atomic game. Which I still need to do the demo for, which I will be doing after this one, I think. Alright, I don't think I could do it all in one. That's just like a lot. We'll see. The air clings sodden and heavy. Without the morning crowd, the sunless streets look barren and bleak. Even the peddlers are long gone. Only a pair of crows remain quibbling over stale crusts in a gutter. I feel a ridiculous pang of envy. At least they've got a reason to fight. I've never felt so lost. Quiress and Leander both made it clear that the Cenobium can't be trusted, but I came so far, endured so much. I need to see the Cenobium for myself, if only to satisfy my curiosity. I should have asked someone at the bar for directions before leaving. I don't think they would have given you directions. I'm about to turn back when a shadow passes over me. A cloud, I think, until a puff of hot breath tickles the back of my neck. The shadow runs down the street in rivulets. Formless, dark, spreads like ink into blotted shapes. Claws stretch. A muzzle splits open to reveal long, jagged teeth. A growl rumbles so low and deep I feel it. I want to run, to scream, but I feel trapped, as though the slightest movement or a single breath will snap the jaws around me shut. No, I won't let it end like this. If I'm going to die, I want to see what got me first. I steel myself, then turn. The shadow vanishes as quickly as it came. I'm left standing in the middle of the street, alone except for a figure reclining in the shade of a nearby stoop. I think this is like the poster guy coming up. The poster guy for this game. No, it's not. It's not. Okay. Looks like a kitsune. A monster. That much is clear from a glance. There are two Playboy types. He looks like a Playboy type. And if he's a kitsune or kitsune adjacent, then he definitely would be a Playboy type. One that could clearly be mistaken for a human, were it not for the tufted ears and tail curled around his ankle. Or the dusk pink eyes with pupils that sharpen like needles when they fall on me. Our eyes meet and the monster uncrosses his long legs. His hair gleams a shade of red that reminds me unsettlingly of blood where it curls around his collared throat. Jumpy, aren't you? His tone is so light and carefree that I glance over my shoulder to make sure he's speaking to me. When I look back, the stranger props his chin on his knuckles and regards me with an inscrutable little smile. Didn't you see that shadow just now? It was massive, moved like a beast. Even as I speak, I'm aware of how ridiculous I must sound, but the stranger's smile doesn't falter. The only beasts I've seen are the Wicks drooling regulars, though this did catch my eye. Oh, you took my key? With a flourish of his hand... Oh, look at that thigh. With a flourish of his hand, my in-room key appears dangling from his finger. It turns on its chain, glittering when it catches the light. My hands fly to my cloak's pockets and, sure enough, find them flat. He crooks his finger, beckoning. I've already taken 2 steps forward before some stifled instinct stops me. Something feels wrong. I'm still on the edge, thrumming with so much adrenaline that the stranger's shadow flickers at the edges of my vision. I always attract the worst kind of attention, but I can't get rattled now. Well, if I say, who says that's my key, then he's just gonna outplay me. I can see it coming. Or, where did you find it? I don't think either of these are very important. Who said that key's mine? He smiles wide enough to reveal pointed canines. I saw you drop it. You really should be more careful. A city like this, somebody might take advantage. A bold-faced lie, said without a hint of irony. I can't figure out how he picked my pockets under my nose, but I'm certain he took my key, and I need it back. I approach the man, careful to keep an arm's length away. He doesn't look dangerous, but the most deadly ones never do. The stranger's chain softly clinks with the tilt of his head. His ears flick. Keeping your distance? Until I figure out how you managed to rob me? Yeah, I am. You think I stole your dinky little key? From all the way over here? He gives an exaggerated sigh. I'm good with my hands, but not that good. Do I really look like a common thief to you? He's got me there. The sheer fabric of his sleeves alone would be too expensive for most street thieves. Hell, his shoes look like they cost more than I spent traveling here. And then there's the shop behind him. No matter the city, parted pink curtains only ever mean one thing. Oh, So he works at a brothel type place? That doesn't mean he can't be a thief still. Expensive thief, but still. I'm not looking to buy, and I doubt I could afford your services anyway. Luckily for you, I don't charge. The man runs the tip of his tongue over a fang, and for the first time since I stepped into that shadow, I feel something other than dread. My face grows hot. That's not what I mean. I'm flattered, really. Were sex my trade, I might make an exception for you. How about half off for a handy? Or you could just hand over my key. Ask nicely, and I might even let you tug my tail. Just throw it here. So, some spindly little street urchin can snatch it and run? He raises my key and tilts his head so he can watch it dangle back and forth. I suppose I should just claim my room, your room for myself. Not that I'll be caught dead slumming in the wick with the rest of those slack-jawed imbeciles. You're obviously not from around here, so tell me, traveller. What misfortune brought you to this wretched place? His voice practically drips with derision. I'm not telling you anything. What could have possibly drawn you to this dreary little pig pen, I wonder? He listlessly watches the arc of my key swinging around his finger. The weather's shit, the food's dreck, and there's entirely too many monsters for a human to feel safe, unless... Dagger-sharp eyes flick towards me. They gleam with amusement. Unless you're just dying to consort with monsters. By now, my embarrassment has worn away, leaving simmering impatience in its place. If this is a shakedown, it's the most frustrating one I've ever experienced. Well, I'm going to turn him down. Are you done? Or did you plan on flirting with me until night falls? He touches his chest in mock affront. You wound me. How can you be so immune to my charms? You're about as charming as an ox and half as subtle. I suggest you go practice your seduction on someone interested. That earns me a burst of breathy laughter, although there is a type where if you don't flirt back, they like you more for it. How about you teach me the ropes? Show me a thing or two. The more he flirts, the more convinced I become that this is some kind of trap. No matter how innocent monsters look, they always have tricks up their sleeves. And something tells me that this one's more dangerous than he lets on, even if he has a lovely laugh. I don't know what you want or why you're messing with me, but I'm not coming any closer until I know you aren't going to attack or bite. I won't bite hard, unless you beg me. Never happen. Get over yourself. No matter what I say, he finds a way to twist my words into an innuendo. Even when I'm silent, he goes on as though we're having a conversation, not a standoff. Do you like dancing? There's a travelling troupe performing in Hightown tonight. Their lutist is utterly exquisite, truly a performance to die for. There's life in this dreadful place if you know where to look. You sound like you know the city well. The man's gaze flickers from me to the key dangling from his finger. Naturally, this dump was little more than a miserable little smear when I first arrived. Hightown, Lowtown, I know Iridia like the back of my hand. What about the Cenobium? Do you know where that is? Everyone fucking hates this place, holy shit. His smile vanishes. Surely you've seen it. The absurdly large tower looming over the rest. It's a little hard to miss. He must mean that spire I noticed when I first caught sight of Iridia. The Cenobium's overrated. Forget about it. I can show you things those stuffy boars in their limp dick tower couldn't even dream of. I've already got plans. Oh? Have you some pressing matters at the Cenobium? Lunch dates with librarians, tea time with the most esteemed abbess. That's my business. What's it matter to you? I square my shoulders and the amusement bleeds out of him. Your loss. Stranger, finally bored of his tedious game, extends his hand towards me. The key rests on his palm, neatly dividing skin and leather. When he makes no other move, I reach for the key, but as soon as my fingers graze smooth brass, his hand springs shut around my elbow. Hey. He yanks me down and I stagger, my soul slipping on the steps. For a sick moment, I fear my bandages will unravel under his touch, but he's careful not to disturb them even as his fingers dig into my arm. I knew I smelled blood. You reek of death and the road. And that fucking doctor. Oh. His voice, once silken, lowers to a smoky growl. The shadows around him seethe and boil as he pulls me closer. And something else, he murmurs against my throat, nose grazing my jaw. Let go. I try to twist away, but he doesn't budge. His breath trails down my neck, sending a thrill of dread through me. But just when I fear he'll bite, he takes a deep whiff instead. His wide, flat eyes gleam with a naked hunger as he gazes up at me. Not quite human, not quite monster. Seems we're both. Vere? Veer? I don't know how to say these people's names. I'm sorry. And I go Vere, Kuras, more than Kuras or Ver. I don't know which one to do. Vere. Whatever. The stranger's ears flatten and he releases me with a short breath. I yank my arm back, massaging it where his grip left grooves in the bandages. The stranger twists around to watch a woman duck out from the curtains behind him. Her pressed uniform bears the insignias of the Cenobium. I leave you for what, all of what, 10 minutes and you're making trouble again? Will you quit harassing the tourists? The stranger, Vere, I take it, rolls his eyes and flashes the cleric a withering smile. So suspicious. Can't you see? This is a friend of mine. A natural liar. He grins at me and his tail swishes minutely. The woman purses her lips at me, clearly unconvinced. I open my mouth to correct him, but Vere cuts in. I was graciously offering my dear friend some free advice. Though his voice remains light and cheerful, his expression darkens. Danger's drawn to you like moth to a flame. It will find you, given time. The woman clucks her tongue as though she's heard this recital 102 times. Word of advice, don't take free advice from lazy foxes lounging in the streets. This crook would sell water to a drowning man for the sheer enjoyment out of it. She shrugs off a wilting look from Vere. Oh, please. Any friend of yours knows it's true. Now hold still. Vere rises gracefully at her approach. He pushes his hair aside so it drapes over one shoulder, exposing the long line of his neck. I just realized I can go up and I can go back and forward with the middle mouse button. That's good. I like that. And suddenly it dawns on me that the jingling I heard earlier wasn't coming from the harness attached to his collar, but a leash. A heavy iron chain wound around a hitching post and padlocked to the back of his collar. Vere posed deliberately to hide his leash from me. The woman produces a keyring from her pocket. She rifles through a dozen identical keys before selecting one and slotting it into the lock. Come on, unless your friend's tagging along on our merry little soulless hunt. They're hunting for soulless inside the city. Words momentarily fail me. The woman regards me with a polite, if tight, smile before marching down the stairs. Vere lingers. He stretches his arms over his head with a yawn, and I try not to stare at the way his stomach flattens when he arches his back. Your little secret's safe with me. Try not to get yourself killed, Vere hops off the stoop and bounds after the woman. His tail sways merrily, as though he hadn't just lied and threatened me. Did you try that thing I mentioned? The Leventian knot? That the one where you take 3 fingers and... Actually, don't tell me. Knowing you, it's disgusting. Vere's airy laughter echoes down the street. It's only after he and the cleric have vanished from sight that I realize I'm still missing something. Wait. Reflexively, I shove my hands into my pockets and find it. The room key. I ease the key from my pocket and smooth my thumb over its teeth as I try to recall a touch, a tell, or any hint of Vere's sleight of hand, but I can't figure out how he did it. All I know for certain is that the Cenobium saw fit to leash him, a fate I could share if that's what his vague warning meant. I let my eyes drift skyward, past the lanterns gently swaying in the breeze to the Cenobium faintly visible through the haze. Just one glimpse is all I need, then I can put this all behind me. This time, the key goes into my coin purse for safekeeping. It's easy enough to follow the sluggish river that splits Iridia in two. A colossal bridge arches over the dark water below. I cross as quickly as I can, climbing ever uphill towards the distant tower.